Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Pacific Pokemon Podcast, where we talk about Pokemon with a focus on VGC. If you like what we do, help us out by clicking that subscribe button and liking the video. Check out the link in the description to join our Discord server as well. We'd love to chat with you guys. Anyway, I'm Lindsay. This week, my Pokemon choice of the week is Espeon, and I look forward to going into why on that one.
I'm Bambi, and my Pokemon of the week is Prinplup.
Prinplup. Okay, let's go into yours first. What?
Okay, so Prinplup has started seeing usage with using EVLite on ladder, spamming Icy Winds, and taking advantage of the fact that nobody will respect it. And it's kind of like seeing some really weird tech with a partner in a Grassy Pledge Rillaboom with a Water Pledge Prinplup. Playing for like a fake out pump, like a pump fake out play to go for a Water Pledge end game.
That is so wild. What? Okay.
Yeah, so basically it gets to just sit out on the field, spam Yawn in Icy Wind, and do it for free. And
Prinplup gets Yawn?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I did not realize that. All right.
Yeah, a lot of like weird like pressure coming out of it out of nowhere. And you think you're gonna only see like this 80 base power move at best coming from like a middle stage evolution, right, for damage. But what ends up happening with the Grassy Pledge being used in the same turn is that because Prinplup is slower, it gets the boost from 80 to 150 on the damage in the Water Pledge. So I don't know if it's clipped yet, but you might have heard Nino Pokebros tweet about it a bit. It happened on his stream when me and about 100 people saw him lose to this in top 500 ladder.
Lost. Wow, on Cart or Showdown?
Cart
ladder, I figured. That's usually what he does.
Nino only does Cart ladder. Okay. And I've seen it too. I saw it in some high ladder stuff on Showdown.
That's incredible.
I had OTS, so I saw the pledge play.
Gotcha.
But I'm literally wondering if it's just because like you don't always need to be clicking like a coverage move on Rillaboom.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they're able to get away with Rillaboom kind of having that free fourth slot move.
Yeah.
In those comps.
True, especially now. Because I mean, like,
yeah,
Woodhammer literally in Grassy.
What is it doing besides? Yeah, it's literally clicking 3 moves. That's all it's doing. So like the fourth move is kind of free with
Grassy Glide,
fake out,
and fake out. Yeah,
those are the only 3 moves that Rillaboom needs. And so you can use that Grassy Pledge as a setup in the end, which is really interesting tech, especially if your opponents don't know the interactions between the pledge moves.
Seriously. I'm glad I'm reading into these right now because I think I'm starting to actually understand how it does so much damage. So if Water Pledge and Grass Pledge are used in the same,
too, because it's 2 moves hitting you.
Yeah.
Not just 1.
Yeah. So if Water Pledge and Grass Pledge are used in the same turn, the ally moving second will use Grass Pledge with a power of 150. So even if you click Water Pledge on slower Prinplup, I think because it is slower, you end up using Grass Pledge, basically. I'm not exactly certain how the interaction works, but I think because of that,
I think the way it works out,
it gets the terrain boost and the stab boost, because it also says that regardless, like if a combined move is used, it will always receive the same type attack bonus, no matter which Pokemon is the one executing it or what type the combination move is. So Prinplup gets a stab boosted, grassy terrain boosted, 150 base power grass pledge that also creates a swamp that quarters the speed of all Pokemon on the opposing side of the field. Not half, not -1. That's literally a -4.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And we've never like I'm gonna be honest. I've been playing VGC for a while now. Never ever have I seen the pledge moves be used to this like high degree of success, and especially let alone at this skill level too, because this is not something I've seen in low ladder at all. This is only when people are really zhuzhing up the sauce in those high ladder games.
This is
Like,
insane.
mm-hmm. And the thing is that like nobody knows their Prinplup calcs right now. So it's like it's free real estate.
Oh, it truly is, especially in terms of that level of like damage multipliers.
Hmm.
Oh, what?
How does the math even work? We don't know. We're not sure. It's like, does it? So it gets the same type attack bonus. Does it also get water type damage included in that? But the thing is, it doesn't matter because it's still getting the stab.
Yeah, it gets stab. I don't know if it gets like water included in terms of defensive calcs. So for like the receiving side, I don't know
Because
for sure.
I can't remember if it said that it was not super effective or not very effective. Uh,
Yeah,
I have to go back and see if I can find the clip. But like, if you know more than us about how the pledge moves work, please let us know. Uh,
please hit us in the comments and give us a full breakdown of how exactly this pledge combination works. I
yes, that
think
would be much appreciated.
Prinplup is getting the 30% boost from grassy terrain, the 50% boost from same type attack bonus on a 150 base power move. That's what I think is happening there, personally, from what
Hmm.
I'm reading here on Bulbapedia. Because of Rillaboom's terrain and the fact that it goes first with Grass Pledge. And
Hmm.
then
It's
that's a
it's
lot of
broken.
damage. 150 base power moves do a lot of damage, no matter what's using them.
Hmm.
Wow.
It's just tipping the scales.
Yeah, that's impressive. And then you get a good tankiness out of that too with the Eviolite. So like you can actually sit on the field and use those 4 turns of swamp
Hmm.
really well too.
And you can actually position into it because you can yawn, protect, swap, grassy pledge.
Yeah. Wow.
And not to mention that you have the icy wind pressure too
Mm-hmm.
going the entire time.
Alrighty. So Prinplup is a meta strat. Eviolite Prinplup
Mhm.
has a niche. Good to know. That's a new one. I definitely would not have expected that day ever. What about you? Did you see
I
this coming? Like,
I did not see this coming. I'm gonna be honest. I still think that grassy pledge and the pledge moves are hot garbage. Um, but maybe I'm wrong, and there is a place for them in competitive play.
I think part of that is the generation that they came out in Gen 5. The pledge moves were a base
Hmm.
power of 50. And then
Yeah, and now
later
they're
they were
80.
base 80. Yep, they were bumped up. So that makes a big difference too. Anyway, moving past that, um, my choice of the week on the Pokemons was Espeon, and I am excited to explain why now. Because I have been starting off a difficult journey because I have every single Pokemon title that there is. Well, not literally that there is, but I mean every mainstream one. Anyway, I have a lot of Pokemon games. I have all the systems still to make them work, and I have the capability to connect them all. So I decided I was going to do a shiny Ribbon Master quest on something from the furthest game back. Like so the whole gist of it is I'm playing Pokemon Coliseum again. I went to my parents' house a couple weekends ago or last weekend and picked up my old GameCube and the two GameCube Pokemon games, XD Gale of Darkness and Coliseum. And now have Coliseum hooked up through a HD adapter and is running HDMI into my capture card for fun stuff. So we're doing a Ribbon Master quest.
Nice.
And what's coming of that is we're going to hunt Togetic, which is at the very, very, very end of the game. So we're basically just going to power through the game at this point now, predominantly. But looking through all of the Pokemon available in Coliseum, which is the only one where you can actually actively hunt shinies. You can't get shinies, shiny shadow Pokemon in XD Gale of Darkness. You can only get them in Coliseum.
Not a problem though.
So because of that,
can't transfer shadow Pokemon anyways.
Exactly. But you can purify them and then you can transfer them all the way through. And so that's what the gist of this is. So I play through Coliseum, I get that Pokemon, I get that shiny Togetic, shiny Shadow Togetic, and I'm gonna purify it and transfer it through, and it gets ribbons in Coliseum and Gen 3, and then it moves to Gen 4, gets ribbons in Gen 4, moves to Gen 5, etc., 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 getting every ribbon and available additional mark from each generation. I chose Togetic because Togekiss is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, and it is one of my one of the ones I'm very much looking forward to, hopefully in DLC 2.
Fun fact: if you play against somebody who uses Serene Grace Togetic, they're not your friend.
Serene Grace Togetic or Serene Grace Togekiss?
Togekiss, excuse me.
Because both exist, I think. Serene Grace is
Yeah,
on both.
both exist either way. The paraflinch. If somebody's gonna paraflinch you with Serene Grace, don't do it.
It's beautiful.
They're not your friend. Don't pursue. Get up from the table and walk away with your dignity while you still have it.
Respect. Serene Grace strats are terrible. I prefer my Togekiss to run Super Luck and just crit everything.
Oh, that works. I'll take some crit rolls. I mean,
Crit
that's what I sign up
kiss.
for with VGC.
But yeah. So what I'm gonna hopefully do is transfer this Togetic all the way through every single generation and obtain every single possible ribbon that exists in every game. All the way up to Gen 9. Once it's available in DLC 2 anyway. So it'll sit in Gen 8 for a little while. But who knows if I even get it before DLC 2 is out and before it's available in Gen 9 in the first place. This is going to be a long and passive hunt overall. The odds are, I believe, 1 in 8,192. So it's...
That's not bad as far as full odds go.
Full odds. I think it was Gen 5 where they halved the odds, either Gen 4 or Gen 5, where they dropped it down to 1 in 4K, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm excited, though, because this Pokemon is going to represent my entire journey of playing every single Pokemon title, is how I'm looking at this Togetic and Togekiss.
That's cool.
So I went and I soft reset for an OT number this week, casually, and I finally lucked out. I was not picky whatsoever with what exactly it was. I just wanted it to either be like linear progression, linear decrease, you know, like 5 4 3 2 1 or 9 8 7 6 5 whatever kind of thing. I guess, yeah, linear regression would be the word there. Or like palindrome number, you know, like 12021 or 55855, whatever.
8008.
Yeah, 8000 or 8 3 zeros and 8. But Coliseum has a 5-digit ID number.
Okay, that's
And
true.
I did get a
One, two,
lot
three,
of
four, five is pretty good.
I got a lot of random ones, and then I eventually ended up with 1 2 3 4 5, and I'm like, yo, okay, I'm cool with this. This is a beautiful starting point to go from.
Am I gonna get hacked? Am I gonna get flagged for hacks? No, because I have a YouTube video about it.
Basically. Because I mean, it's very straightforward too. You just sit there and you reset making a new file
It,
until you get an
yeah.
OT. Like it's a thing a lot of people do. And
Hmm.
I have every single game, and I will show every single game file if necessary. You know, if somebody's gonna really try to call it out, I will find this memory card that is in my GameCube right back here behind me down here. I will pull that memory card and I will bring it with me, plug it into a system, and I will show them the OT of 1 2 3 4 5 right there. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this hunt goes. As somebody who's played so many games of Pokemon and invested so much time and energy, I feel like this is a nice, fun way to turn that into something more tangible within the series of games. Something that I can
Hmm.
hopefully continue to bring forward through every single game, adding a touch of every generation to it.
Hmm.
So that's my spiel there. I'm done on Coliseum and all of that for now. It is though the most freaking Coliseum is the most edgy Pokemon game you'll ever see or play.
Yeah, but one of the things about that is like, it's always good to get away from playing in like to VGC and finding other ways to explore Pokemon or just having other things to do. Because you can't be on a 100% grind all the time in this game. Um, it will drive you insane to try and play Pokemon all day, every day.
It definitely
Um,
can. Yeah.
oh, I know. I've tried. I've spent 3 days. I once spent like a hard 3 days trying to finally crack in the top 500 this month before I quit. I was like, all right, that's enough. Just only time to focus on just getting to Sacramento. No more trying to grind my way into top 500 beforehand.
Yeah.
Um, it's not healthy to do to yourself. You got to take breaks, especially when you're putting a lot of pressure on high pressure situations on yourself. Like especially if you're going to regionals a lot or doing like regional, local, regional. Like if you're doing like a monthly regional tours, um, I mean those people are those pros are out of their minds for getting that much travel and prep time and for all that.
I mean,
Uh,
sometimes they don't have a whole lot going on outside of that, and that depends obviously on the individual.
oh
But
yeah, and then there's some people who are wolfy like, and that's just all they do.
yeah, I mean, not to remotely try and say that Wolfie doesn't also run a business and all of these other things with his YouTube
Oh no,
channel and whatnot at the
oh yeah.
same time, but it is a bit different when what you invest in and what invests in you are the same.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
for us, and at least for you going to school, your energy goes invested into
Hmm.
that, and that invests in you. But Pokemon doesn't necessarily invest itself in you yet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is what it
And I
is
guess
there.
what I was more or less trying to say was like it's good to step away because it helps you have a lot more clarity when you come back to it.
Yeah. No, I really agree there too. Like, I think taking a break from the competitive scene for a little bit, you know, I tend to do it pretty usually after every regional I go to. I'll take a short break
Hmm.
for a little while. And I mean, I tend to, right after I get back, be really up and on it still for a couple of days. It's kind of figuring out and finalizing what I learned from that regional.
Hmm.
And then I say, okay, cool. I'm going to put this down for a bit. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to relax because I've now just worked really hard doing all of this stuff. and
Mhm.
I'm going to focus on taking care of myself a little bit in between. You know, can't forget about
Mhm.
that self-care. Haircuts,
No,
stuff
one
like
of the things that
that.
I've been reminded of lately with school going on and whatnot is that like I really gotta put in the time beforehand to do that self care. Because like if you just let it add up and in in the end and you have like start feeling overwhelmed in the situation, especially if it's like a Pokemon situation, you're feeling
Yeah,
overwhelmed, you're not gonna you're gonna react to a play and get called out on it because you're not responding to the situation because you're overwhelmed. And part of that is taking care of those little things and taking care of the human beforehand plenty so that way the human doesn't go into that situation and find themselves overwhelmed. They find themselves with a challenge, that they can handle.
the challenge they're prepared to face. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, bathing routines and like brushing your teeth,
Yeah.
those
Oh my
small
gosh.
things, but
There have
taking a
been
shower
complaints on
before a
Twitter.
tournament.
Shower, please. Please, VGC players
Please
doing
shower,
like more than
please
just,
wash your
yeah,
clothes,
please shower,
care
wear
for
deodorant.
yourself.
And if you're going to wear deodorant, don't wear citrusy flavors because some people are allergic to that.
Eh, that's something I didn't really consider, but that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
I use a very
That's why I
like
say citrusy flavors, citrusy scents.
yeah,
Excuse
I
me.
figured what you meant, but yeah. Yeah, I usually use a pretty generic, simple and mild scented deodorant. So I've never really run into or considered much of the potential issues on that as well. And like perfumes and whatnot too.
Mm-hmm.
But
But if your opponent can't handle the way like the can't savor your flavor of smell, a judge can DQ you if your opponent can't handle what you're putting out.
fair enough. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take care of yourselves, guys. Please. The
Mm-hmm.
person here is like very, very important to the actual success in the events too. Because if this mind isn't calmed and collected and prepared, it's not going to perform very well anyway. So,
Mm-hmm. You're every step that you're not putting in that time along the way, you're missing those opportunities to find it where you can.
yeah.
Um, you're dropping the ball. You know,
And at the end of the day, it's just playing Pokemon, you know?
that's true.
Yes, there's a little bit of money on the table. Yes, they increased that money for Top Cut and winners and whatnot. Congratulations to all of those who do. But at the end of the day, it's playing Pokemon.
Hmm.
There might be money on the table, but if you haven't won it consistently before, don't go into it with an expectation that you will. All of a sudden, just show up and win.
Hmm.
Because if you go in with that expectation, you're gonna set yourself up for a failure. You're gonna set yourself up to disappoint yourself because you're putting too much stress on your shoulders, expecting to go in and win.
Hmm.
Now it's
And you're
fine
not
to
gonna
tell
have a good
yourself like,
time.
"Oh, I might." It's fine to go in with that like casual. It would be cool. It might happen. I don't know. I've been
Hmm.
practicing, so like I feeling ready enough. Like we'll see how it
But
goes.
you gotta keep in mind, also getting to that point, you have to kind of win the lottery a bit too. So
Exactly. So you have to win the lottery on your matchups. You have to win the lottery on, who your opponents
your
are that
rolls, your crits,
yeah.
your reads.
I mean, there are definitely matches, even streamed matches for people's down and outs from day 1 of tournaments
Hmm.
where one crit made all of the difference or one extra turn of sleep is the most important thing. And like
Hmm.
all of these details can end up having such huge effects sometimes. So they
Yeah.
add up.
And that's why it's important to take care of the person because you don't want to end up being butthurt in those situations after the fact
Also
because
true.
nobody likes having to deal with somebody like having a win and their opponent being a sourpuss, like
Yeah.
being a sore loser. Nobody likes that kind of feeling where like the other person is like so upset with how things went that they can't even say GG. Like good game.
Yeah, yeah, truly. We do still also have some tournaments that did happen this last week. We did have Lille Regionals in France has concluded now as of last Sunday. And currently, Toronto Regionals are happening right meow.
Yeah, and congratulations to Pokesports Mike uh, for making he peaked today. I saw on Twitter. He got to sit at table number one in round three.
Table 1, round 3. Oh, wow, I did not see that.
Yeah,
Congratulations, Mike. You've done your
it's pretty
performance.
cool. Uh, I would always. I've never sat at a table one. I've gotten a couple top cuts and never been able to sit at table one at a regional or anything like that. So that's super cool.
Yeah, no, that means you have high seed. I
Yeah,
have to assume he was
you're
probably 3 and
you're in a
0.
bubble.
I have to assume
Yes,
he
he
had.
was 3-0.
Yeah,
So even if you didn't do well the rest of your matches today, Mike, just remember, don't drop because your bubble is huge.
no kidding. I mean, seriously though, like that's very impressive. Well played, my friend. He
Yeah,
got
I,
he got
he won't hear
married
this.
and
Oh,
get
he got married,
got
and
married like last week, and then now is turning that
literally,
marriage into slaying competition.
he's literally peaking right now.
Beautiful.
His whole life is coming
Yeah,
to
right.
a culmination, and he's about to win a Canadian regional on top of it.
Calling it right here, folks. We'll find out by the time this releases on Monday whether or not
Man,
Pokesports Mike
I'm
has won
I'm gonna call it.
Toronto Regionals.
Pokesports Mike is gonna win it all. I'm calling it now.
I'm rooting
We're
for it.
recording this on Saturday morning, so
That'll be
we'll
a good
see.
time. We'll find out. But on the subject of tournaments that have completed and people who we actually can
Yeah,
congratulate for
Lille.
sure. Congratulations to Simone Sanvito for
Hmm?
winning Lille over Aurelian Sola. Aurelian Sol,
Oh man,
for those who
Aurelian
know
Sola.
that name. Yep.
Yeah, Asol is so good at this game.
Hmm.
Oh my god, like easily, like in my opinion, I think I'm not sure if he is the most decorated French player, but in my
Probably.
opinion, he's got to be the best like French player out there. I've been watching this guy stream matches like for like every single European event. No,
He's
he's showed up on
phenomenal.
stream in the last year. So I mean, he's
He's
really
been around
taking
for a
it.
long time too. He's been
He's
playing
been around
for
for a
a
long
very
time,
long time. Aurelian
and he's
Sola.
like just always playing consistently at that top level, no matter what is going
Hmm.
on in the meta.
Yeah. And he didn't drop games in Top Cut until the finals.
Hmm.
He 2-0'd both in top 8 and in top 4 until Simone Sanvito. And coincidentally, Simone did the same thing.
Yeah,
So those were some very, very fun
high
matches.
caliber.
Very high quality Pokemon gameplay there.
Hmm.
And very similar teams between the two of them, all in all as well. You have a Chenpao and Friend for both of them. For Aurelian, it's the Chenpao and Dragonite. For Simone, it's the Chenpao and Hisuian Arcanine.
Hmm.
And then there's the Rillaboom and Urshifu as well. And then Simone had Fluttermane, whereas Aurelian was running Farigiraf, and Simone's Tornadus, and Aurelian had Heatran.
Man, I really wish I could play against either of these teams in Sacramento. Because this is like the stuff that you and I prep for, you know.
It really
Um,
is.
and here it is, like wow, we really just kind of rolled the dice unlucky on our matchups with getting all those flutterfishes versus getting like these like two consistent, like really just consistent sixes, or like five or
Consistent
six.
physical core with
The
like
physical
one or
core
two
is
special attackers.
so good right now. right now the like hyper offense has traditionally been special attackers,
Hmm. Because of
because they
Intimidate.
yeah, there's not really like mitigation around that damage
Yeah.
outside of screams. So it's kind of like really neat that we're seeing well played physical attackers being able to fill that hyper offense
Yeah.
niche, um, just because they have the right tools to be able to get consistency. And I will say a big part of that is the Urshifu.
I agree. Urshifu is performing very well, especially in day two performances.
Hmm.
Urshifu is making a lot of day two performances, so it's
It's
increasing
still
in
doing good. I saw
popularity.
this this morning in Toronto. Saw some Urshifu stuff going on stream,
Of
and it looks
course.
like a lot of that. It's a lot of that choice scarf doing really good
Yeah,
across the board.
that makes sense though. I mean, Scarf Urshifu, if built correctly, will always
Hmm.
outspeed Scarf Landorus as well. So
Yep.
that's that's a good benchmark to be able to hit for sure. And it just can provide so much offensive pressure. Something
Hmm.
that's really fast that can hit through protect in the end game is an incredible closer after everything's taken so much damage.
Hmm.
Yeah, really good team. I briefly want to actually go over the top 12 from day one and day two before we go more in depth on the teams. Because it's really kind of neat how there's some things that changed a lot and some things that barely changed at all in the top
Hmm.
12 from day one to day two. As we've seen in the last couple of regionals, we're still looking at Fluttermane, Iron Hands, and Landorus Therian as the top three in both days. Fluttermane in second position on both days, and then Iron Hands and Landorus switching from first and third in day one to day two.
Hmm.
However, Waterpawn is consistently overtaking Firepawn now in the usage. Day one at 38.7 versus 27.6 for the Fire Ogrepon. Day two, 31.3 on the Waterpawn, and Firepawn also dropping to 25. Really common there, even with the Watershifu, also at 28 on day one and 37 in day two. So Urshifu really coming in now at top 4 in day two standings in Lille.
Yeah, we haven't seen Urshifu doing this well since Worlds.
Yeah, true. It's and since James pulled it out at Pittsburgh,
Oh, and Peoria.
Peoria, yeah, that one, that one with the that starts with the P.
Oh, I'm talking about just statistic, like overall, how many people have brought it.
True, overall
That's what I meant.
popularity and usage.
Not its results. It's always going to get results.
Touche. It's Urshifu. It always is capable of getting results with an ability that hits through protect
Yep, and a signature move that crits.
every time.
Hmm.
So much consistent damage. Even more in Terra meta.
Yep.
But yeah, very dominant Pokemon. Cool to see it coming into fourth place now. Etran also performing very well in day two, moving up from 24% day one to 31 in day two.
Hmm. It's those Terra Fairies I'm seeing all the time now. Like before, it was like that Terra Grass, but now it's really those Terra Fairies.
Yep.
Even more so. They really want to get those Dragon types with Terra Blast too now.
Yeah. Yeah, and Terra Fairy Heatran actually pairs up decently into Iron Hands still with Terra
Hmm.
Blast too and stuff like that. So like it works well into Chen Pao, it works well into Iron Hands, it works well into just so many Pokemon in the format. Urshifu as well being one of those
Hmm.
threats that it can actually do damage to at that point. So I
Yeah.
definitely understand why the Terra Fairy. Also predominantly Ogrepon.
Yeah.
Mold Breaker makes Terra Grass pretty useless. Cool top 12 there. Um, Neat to see the Chi-Yu and Hisuian Arcanine making their way into top 12 on the day 1, but they fell off in exchange for King Gambit and Amoonguss in day 2 performances. Otherwise,
Which
the
is
rest of
not
day,
really surprising.
it's really not. Like, looking at exactly those picks, too, I understand all of what's happening right there.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Heatran on the rise, both of the other fire types down. What do you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then other good competitive Pokemon. Yeah,
So the next one that was probably on the list.
always the Amoonguss. The
Mm-hmm.
Amoonguss factor still exists. It will never go away.
Nope.
Yeah, let's go back into the teams now on the top 4 teams. The top 4 of Lille. Simone's team, pretty standard stuff across the board, more or less. I mean, with the Fluttermane, Chien-Pao, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Hisuian, Arcanine, and Tornadus. He looks like he's probably running that bulkier Tornadus with the Rocky Helmet and the Taunt, Rain Dance, Tailwind, Bleak Wind.
Mm-hmm.
Classic AV Rillaboom with the U-turn. You know, the Mystic Water Urshifu, the Banded Arcanine, Booster Flutter with no Icy Wind, so I forget now at this point whether that was a booster speed or booster special attack. I believe it was booster special attack.
I think it was booster special attack. Usually the booster speed is when you're taking the icy wind, and then you're
Usually.
taking the usually you're taking the dazzling gleam or the moonblast in combination with the special attack boost.
Yeah. Yeah. With the Chien-Pao, though, you don't necessarily need the ice coverage as much as well, so I definitely can understand that. Icicle Crash instead of Ice Spinner to avoid the Rocky Helmet, Breaking Sash.
Mm.
So that's kind of the tech there. Some people will run Ice Spinner to remove terrain. It also, you don't want to remove your own Rillaboom's terrain sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely plays a part. But Icicle Crash being a non-contact move. 85% accurate, though, so you have to roll the dice on your accuracy in exchange for keeping your sash intact.
Mm-hmm.
I never feel like I know what I'm going to expect on Chien-Pao's. Like, both of those builds are so common. Now, this next team is a little bit more spicy. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Aurelian Soulless team with the Heatran, Urshifu, Farigiraf, Dragonite, Chien-Pao, and Rillaboom. Looking at Miracle Seed Rillaboom.
Yeah, same thing as the grassy plate.
Yeah.
That we're seeing happening at Toronto this weekend.
Fair, yep. Yeah, exactly the same concept there. Fake out, protect, grassy glide, and woodhammer. That basically makes up for the damage loss on grassy glide.
Basically gives Woodhammer a free choice band.
Almost, yeah, with terrain and the seed
And
boost
with
or the
terrain
item
plus
boost,
seed boost is 1.5 together. So yeah.
which is really strong damage. 120 base attack, 100% accurate as well. I mean, we did a best of 3 earlier today, and we learned very quickly that Woodhammer does hit hard. Ivy Cudgel and Woodhammer from Rillaboom and Ogerpon are a capable combination, with Terra on Ogerpon as well, of KOing Dusclops in one turn. There's not a lot out there that can pull off that damage either. So that Miracle Seed definitely would facilitate that a lot. Something I might even consider running in the future here.
It also kind of like gets you into like the ballpark of that old school grassy glide.
Yeah, it pushes you back to the
giving it
70 base
1.2.
power.
Yeah, 1.2 to base 55 would give it back 70 base power.
Yep. Yeah. Same Chien-Pao, running the Icicle Crash with the Ghost Terra. Dragonite's the choice band, no surprises there. With the Aerial Ace, just for flying type attack into Iron Hands, maybe. Predominantly for Amoonguss and Ogerpon is my assumption there, and to a lesser extent the
100%.
Sinistras. But
Yeah.
And Urshifu actually as well. Ursh being as common as it
I think
is.
it's more. I think it's more so an Urshifu thing than a Matcha Gotcha thing.
Oh, absolutely. And then the Frigiraffe with the Rocky Helmet. Helping Hand, Dazzling Gleam, Psychic, and Trick Room. This
Hmm.
Frigiraffe for him put in work. I don't know how many of his
Giraffe.
matches you watched, but that thing was incredible.
It was really good. I feel like it's like somebody finally took that for a giraffe that we've been dying to see. Because like I think you and I have both used this essentially the same for a giraffe.
Pretty much.
Trying to get it to happen,
Yeah.
and just not seeing it because of usually like Chiyu and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the times it felt like in the meta, Farigiraf just couldn't do what it needed to do. And I think now might be the best meta for Farigiraf
No,
to do
yeah.
what it needs to do.
For Sacramento, I was wanting to bring for a draft. I was talking to Neil about it a bunch, and for draft just really seemed like the call. Like if I wanted to make a meta call, like that would be the one. And I think
Yeah.
going forward, it's still going to be the call for regulation. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's going to be at least, if not the meta call, a very good meta call. You know, Farigiraf is in a very good position considering Grassy Glide spam is on the rise. Chen Pao and Friends
Yep.
is back on the rise. You know, the Dragonite, the Hisuian
Yeah.
Arcanine. Urshifus are mostly running Aqua Jet now as well to pick up those
Yeah.
KOs that they sometimes miss. And
They're
yeah,
dropping that. Yeah, they're dropping sometimes dropping the U turns.
yeah. Or sometimes even dropping the fighting move altogether and just going
Yep.
pure water and sword stance protect. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. So Aurelian running one of those assault vest E-trans as well. Assault vest E-tran. That thing is incredibly specially bulky in that right scenario
Hmm.
as well. That thing is an amazing tank.
I'm gonna
Absolutely.
be honest. Whenever I see like AV Heatran, that AV feels like screens rather than you know, it like which is how bulky it is. It
Yeah,
feels like it's sitting behind screens for free.
it really does. That thing is honestly incredible. Absolutely
Hmm.
phenomenal.
I think a big reason why we're seeing Heatran happening right now too is because everybody was so worried about Golden Go.
Yeah.
And Heatran's one of the few Pokemon that always has a positive matchup in the Golden Go.
Yep. Especially with AV.
Yep.
Well, I guess we're going over the fourth place team here a little bit first, since we're already on the subject of the Gothitelle.
Hmm.
In fourth place, we had Miguel Marti running the Gothitelle with Shadow Tag, Psychic Fake Out Protect, Helping Hand, and Citrus Berry as his item. And then the rest of the Pokemon are Chien-Pao friends. Terra Fairy.
Terra Fairy. Oh, okay. So this is what is it trying to trap? Oh
Just
my gosh.
annoying opponents. You know, board positioning, trap, anything. Because it's not perish. It's just trap.
Oh yeah, it's just a trap.
It's a trap.
Trap. Admiral Akbar. Okay.
It had to happen. Sorry.
It's okay. That's what the name of the episode should be. It's a trap.
It's a trap. There's the title.
It's just so interesting because you can't have Chien Pao and Gothitelle really. Like that's not really like unless you're trying to force sucker punches, that's not really your board positioning you're wanting. So it's like you're really trying to use that Gothitelle to find those right traps to call out different like positional leads, like or being able to like oh I mean like just like one thing I can think of right now that White Gothitelle is probably doing really well is Volt Switch is way down
True.
in usage. Um, I feel like I'm probably like the only person besides Emilio Forbes, maybe, who's still running Volt Switch on their Iron Hands. Um,
I did,
uh,
but I've switched it already again. Keep going back
but
and forth.
if you're running Swords Dance or you're running like any other sets like on your Iron Hands
Hmm.
right now, um, this Gothitelle is going to shut you down. If you're hoping to be able to Shadow Ball it, it's going to Terra Fairy out of it, and it's going to Helping Hand, and it's going to one shot. Its partner's going to one shot the Fluttermane no matter what.
Yeah,
Or
especially
the
when that partner is
Chi.
either an Ogrepon, a Dragonite, an Urshifu,
Yes.
or a Rillaboom.
And one of the things too is with that Helping Hand is you do not need Shampoo on the field to be able to get those E-Speed KOs because you're multiplying the damage by 1.3 rather than lowering
Decreasing the
defenses by 25%.
yeah.
Um, so you're putting out like 5% more damage output in on the roll to compensate for. I mean, it really
The
the
math isn't
way
quite like that, but like it also kind of is. It's a
the
good
point
estimate.
that's where that's where the math is happening, but the way it breaks down is that like it's really like it's not like Helping Hand is better. Actually,
Yeah,
it's really comparable. Like it's the difference between damage in the two is really minuscule in the long run usually,
yeah,
unless it's like taking 25% off of like a Hisui and Gudra's defense or something like that, which is massive,
true.
right?
Yep,
Um,
and
or even
that's
like
where
a
it
Tinglu
plays
with a base
huge.
110, and that it, like being able to take off, like more than 25 points of defense
Yeah, or
of
taking
somebody. That's where it's
25%
really
off of a boosted defense Pokemon
hmm
like Body Press Como
yeah,
O. That's huge.
yeah, it is very big, especially when you add the boosts in there. But having the Helping Hand is still a good offensive option.
Yeah. It's a really good way to basically fill the same slot, and I think that's kind of the
Hmm.
goal with the Gothitelle on this team. You know, you lead main attacker with Gothitelle or main attacker with Chen Pao. If you lead main attacker with Gothitelle, you just switch out to the Chen Pao if that's a better matchup for you.
Hmm.
Like if Goth isn't a terrible matchup, cool. Otherwise, if you're leading the Chen Pao, cool, you pressure them into, switching in something to handle Chen Pao maybe or switching something out to avoid Chen Pao, and then you switch Gothitelle in that turn and trap that
Hmm.
counter in, and then Chen Pao can sweep really well in the back.
Yeah.
Because it's super fast, and with Focus Sash, if Chen Pao is the last Pokemon on your team and it has its Sash intact, I mean that's a huge
Hmm.
lead in that like
It is massive.
2v2 state at the end of the game. Bringing out that
Hmm.
full HP Sash Chen Pao is two guaranteed hits. Sometimes that's just a 100% game over.
Yeah.
Like it just needs to hit each Pokemon once and it's 100% done. So, yeah, good team actually, all in all. And the AV on Dragonite too. So this is a
AV
much
Dragonite
bulkier
coming back.
Dragonite.
Hmm.
I like seeing the AV Dragonite come back though. I like the AV Knights myself. I think AVD Knight is. I find AVD Knight the way to go, personally.
I think it still just puts out too much damage to overlook Choice Band.
It does. I just. I don't know. I'm always iffy with choice items.
I'm not surprised that AV got results. That by any means, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that like I do think that Choice Band is probably the better option for most scenarios, and I think that this
Yeah.
could have been a Choice Band, but I think that bringing in the AV was a good tech choice for
I think the
this player.
AV helps that team specifically as well. They don't have as bulky of a defensive core. That AVD
Hmm.
Knight is kind of the best special
It's a
sponge they
buffer.
have outside of the Gothitelle ish.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Third place team, Terran Birdie, bringing a very meta team, but it's the only water pawn in top four. Miguel had a
It's
fire
kind of
pawn on his
interesting.
team, but yeah, this is the only water pawn in top 4. And in fact,
Um,
one of
it's
2
just because
in
water pawn
top
can't
cut.
take care of fire pawn. Fire pawn almost always has side,
Yeah.
and even then, Ivy Cudgel doesn't always take down the fire one.
Yeah, it doesn't, because fire can just bulk up. And I mean,
Mm,
if they switch in the Landorus that turn, there you go. An easy
Yep.
counter.
And they don't have the offensive like boost from the Terra to be able to mitigate the intimidate roll.
Yeah, you
So
get the extra stab, which kind of mitigates it, but like not
it's not enough.
it's
Not
not the
enough.
same as getting stab plus the Terra, or the Terra plus the stat boost.
Hmm.
That's that's how you words. But yeah, let's finish this off with the last team in the top 4 here. We got the Wellspring Ogerpon, very typical team here, running Power Whip though instead of Woodhammer or Grassy Glide.
I saw the memes about this one. The memes were pretty good. And you know, I too like to live dangerously.
I like to live dangerously, but not that dangerously.
I think it's kind of overlooking the fact that there is a bonus to crit chances on Ivy Cudgel.
I know. And I mean, like, Ivy Cudgel does a lot of damage no matter what.
Hmm.
That's kind of the thing there, too. Like, the
And you're not
Power
going to
Whip
be able
is
to imprison
good,
it.
but yeah, true. You literally can't. I don't know. I think Hornleech and Woodhammer are just better options, personally. Hornleech for consistent damage and HP recovery,
Hmm.
Woodhammer for actual high damage if you want high damage. And Power Whip is the high damage with no recoil, but instead you could just not hit at all. And personally, I
Hmm.
would rather sacrifice my Ogre Pawn for damage that I know is going to KO something
Yeah,
than
with the
have a
amount of
chance
times
of missing and surviving.
Power Whip, there's no way I would run this. I would never run Power Whip when I have options like Wood Hammer.
Personally, yeah. But to each their own, for one thing, obviously. And as long as it worked
Hmm.
for him, that's what matters. He made it into the top 4, so clearly he hit enough of those power whips to make
And
it
people were
work.
not properly for it, so kudos.
Yeah. Although it is the exact same base damage as Woodhammer, so realistically the calcs should arguably be there. It's just that they don't necessarily calc for having to do the extra damage as well.
They're not calculating. Well, I mean, one of the things when you do calc for Wood Hammer is recoil is brought into the
Yeah,
two
exactly.
hit KO scenarios.
Yeah. It's the yeah, that was kind of what I was trying to get at. Yep. The recoil damage is the trade-off, because then they actually end up taking more in your spot.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, though, he was running Heatran, Terra Fairy. This one, a Life Orb, so much more offensive set than the Assault Vest we were just looking at.
Hmm.
But either way, very standard Heat Wave, Earth Power, Flash Cannon, and Protect. And the Assault Vest there on its friend, the Terragrass Iron Hands. Alongside that, we've got Mental Herb Tornadus. This is more likely a faster offensive Torn with the Sunny Day to boost Heatran, and that's it, apparently. Probably more to counter opposing Snow than specifically to boost Heatran.
I think it also helps in the Water Pawn and the Urshifu matchup to be able to, because that's one of the few
Mm-hmm.
ways you can actually mitigate Surging Strike damage just by setting up Sun.
True. And Tornadus just has a really good matchup with
In
Bleakwind
fact, I
into
think it
both of
might
them.
actually be the only way to stop Surging Strike's damage at all is
It
setting up Sun.
realistically
I
is.
think.
Yeah. Realistically. Or Shell Armor. Like either
Yeah,
an ability that makes the crits not crit or Sun. Those
that
are the only
ability.
answers. But anyway, 2 other things to go over kind of on his team. He was running Specs Flutter with the Trick Room. The Specs Flutter Trick Room counter. Yep. So Dazzling, Shadow Ball,
What do these
Moonblast.
people do to avoid running Energy Ball?
I mean, I think what they're it's it's an easy way to counter the trick rooms, and against Blood Moon or Saluna, this team particularly, I think actively
Mhm.
struggles.
Oh, yeah,
So
100%. Yeah.
the turn there is quite literally the torn Fluttermane. Okay, well, I'm just going to click Trick Room 2 and undo your Trick Room the same moment that you do it.
Hmm.
But I mean, in your scenario as the Blood Moon Ursa player, you don't click Trick Room and let them set it up for you.
Which I'm gonna be honest, I saw it happen in Sacramento. Works every
It
time.
absolutely does.
uh, Literally, the way you beat Trick Room mirrors is by not setting up Trick Room.
Yeah, you just let them do it.
I, in fact, like uh, when I played against uh, I was tempted not to bring Dusclops into an DDR Marouge matchup just because was like, oh, they're just gonna follow me my break on a trick
Yeah,
room turn or something like that, and I'm not gonna be able to get it off. But I was able to position myself to where I got I did a volt switch into Indeedee and then into a break while their armor Indeedee followed me in armor's trick rooms. And then Blood Moon Ursulina comes in, gets the break right there,
that's the
right there, and
play.
then Trick Room gets set up, and that's like that's some like little sauce that, like of like how you can break down turn order, like to
Yeah,
be able to really like set up, like when you're able to take like when you're able to essentially take three Pokemon to set up for one Pokemon to sweep, there is nothing that is going to stop that amount of setup priority, basically.
yeah. When you get
Like
to that point, it
you
just
can't
is so good.
you can't catch back up. You
Yeah,
can't catch back up. You're just you're and unfortunately for my opponent, it was not a matchup they were familiar with, and I definitely was able to put the work in right there.
yeah, yeah. That sounds like a great combination too, as a way to counter your opponent's Trick Room.
Mhm.
And then
Just
finally on
play like they're gonna like you're play like you're gonna do it every turn, and
yeah,
then don't do it at all.
true. Even
That's
more
how you
mind
do it.
games in best of three there too. Goodness.
Oh gosh, if I had to play best of three, I think I wouldn't even have tricked them my second set and would have just started trying to hard pivot around everything.
Yep. Let's see what you do. You trick them out. But
Hmm.
finally on Tehran's team, he was one of the only people running a Dark Urshifu. The only Dark Urshifu in the top, in third place. Looking at the Swords Dance Terra Dark Sash Dark Urshifu.
Yep,
Full
this is
smack hard.
King Gambit that can crit.
Can Gambit that guaranteed crits and is much faster, but not as bulky. But yeah.
Hmm.
And hits through Protect too.
Yep.
So yeah, very neat to see the Dark Urshifu actually making its way into the top cut here. I don't think there was any other. Oh no, there was actually another Dark Urshifu. There were more Dark Urshifu in top cut than Water Urshifu. Same amount, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be it for our coverage of the Lille Regionals and our 2 cents on self care and maintaining yourself in Pokemon.
Yes,
Competitive Pokemon. That means also take
it's not
breaks
a
from it.
bad. Yeah, it's not bad to play. Other Pokemon games are just completely other games and different in general. Honestly, go outside, touch grass, do your
Yeah.
best to smile, take deep breaths.
Yep. Go play
All
Pokemon
those things are
Coliseum.
free in life. That
Use
one's not
use
free.
Espeon and Umbreon to play one of the only titles that's exclusively double battles, which is really cool. If you're a
Yeah.
VGC player, I love the fact that they had games at all that were double battles.
Hmm.
Pretty sweet. But yeah, that's gonna be it from us today for this week. Head out into the description and join that Discord channel, or give us your information if you know more about the pledges, if you
Yeah,
remember that.
if you can figure out how to get that fire and a water pledge to work where you get the rainbow, let me know.
Yeah, tell us everything you got about pledge moves. Those moves are such a niche concept, so we're still trying to figure it out a little bit. Um, but thanks everybody for coming and checking us out. like and subscribe if you are not already. That way you're ready for more when it's coming out next week. And we will see you guys then. Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Bye, guys.